Happy birthday to Cinnabon.
Who doesn't know that sweet smell of Cinnabon?
Because I smell something really good in the studio.
Yeah, you smell something cinnamony and sticky because we got Cinnabon.
Chances are you've either been to a Cinnabon store or at least you've seen one on at the mall.
Is it true you guys put fans in all the stores to blow it right down through the airport?
How many times have you been in an airport and you smell that Cinnabon?
Did you know, Joe? Yes. That at Cinnabon, they'll give you an extra packet of frosting.
Actually, I love that
So you just
stuff.
rip the top off and waste like 3 hours.
So now I thought I'd share some of my favorite spring break mistake tweets from you guys. Here we go. This first one's from @RileyFranson. He says, during a layover on the way to Florida, my friend got lost in the airport trying to find the Cinnabon and missed the flight. Hope it was worth it, buddy.
When you're at a theme park, you hear things you don't usually hear. Yesterday, I heard a mother tell her child, if you don't finish your Cinnabon, you won't get any dessert. That's not a meal.
Of Cinnabon, our next guest knows a thing or two about the sweet life. But for this week's episode of the hit CBS series Undercover Buzz, she leaves the comfort of her corner office to work alongside the rank and file of the company. Take a look.
Make sure you put some napkins in there, too.
Okay, there you go.
You can say thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Try not to say, here you go.
Wow, she is a little commando.
Alexa?
Yes, ma'am?
You have to be a little bit faster, so you have to move the line.
Got it. She actually kept physically pushing me up to the counter and physically guiding me places. Myra is a take charge young girl.
Please welcome Kat Cole.
Before we talk about the show, I want the truth. I travel constantly. I'm always in the airport, and I am convinced that you guys pump that cinnamon smell out into the walkway at malls and airports. That
Everyone
has to be it, right?
asks us that. It really is the secret ingredient that makes the smell so strong. It's the macara cinnamon. It's got higher volatile oils and this really gooey cellular structure. Lots of funky food science behind it. Oh, when you bake it, it's like, you know, when your mom used to bake cookies.
I love it right now.
And the aroma just fills. We bake all day long, scratching our bakery.
Right, so it's just always kind of going.
Absolutely.
But
Are you eating your Cinnabon with a fork?
okay.
That's personality groups.
Exactly.
Okay. In order for you to go undercover, you went into a disguise. You had that lovely blonde with the pink streak.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what was the story? What did you...
So I was an out-of-place worker looking to start my own cupcake shop as my dream. And the people at Cinnabon were going to be kind enough to teach me how to bake. And if I did a good enough job, they would vote to give me funding to start my own business.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you do a good enough job?
Well, people will have to see when you tune in. But I can tell you, as many bosses, whenever they finally get into the frontline jobs, I screwed it up royally. So you want a good time.
No, you nearly had your cover blown. How'd you handle that?
I did. Well, it's funny, whenever I work in our bakeries, because the show is so popular, even when there aren't cameras, people come up to me and say, is this Undercover Boss? Right. So when there are cameras, they really laid it on. And this guy came over and whispered in my ear. He said, is this Undercover Boss? And I've heard it before, so I was able to laugh it off and go, I wish. And I'm like, oh, I hope they didn't hear me. The employees that were nearby, but he almost blew my cover.
Now, you went undercover in a bakery, a travel plaza, and a factory. So what was the hardest?
I think the hardest by far was the factory. That's the place that I have the least experience working. This woman, when you all see the show and you see this woman that works in this factory, she is unbelievable. Has worked here for 30 years. It's very physical labor, and she puts me through the motions. And I literally fall into the equipment trying to fix it. And I think she says, she's a little too girly to work here.
Now, Pat, before running Cinnabon, early in your career, you started out at Hooters as a Hooters girl.
Yes.
You ultimately became vice president of Hooters.
Yes. So there.
Yeah. And your old boss from Hooters, who he himself was the subject of an Undercover Boss, he gave you some advice?
He did. You know, it was awesome. He's no longer with the company, and obviously neither am I, and he was kind enough to give me a little bit of advice, and he said, just forget about the corporate stuff. People are going to think what they think, and you can't worry about how things come across. Just focus on the people. It's an incredibly emotional experience. Just enjoy that opportunity for people to not know who you are and speak the truth. And he was absolutely right.
Well, Kat Cole, we want to thank you for bringing us these delicious... My
pleasure.
Oh,
enjoy
if
them.
only they can smell these at... Oh, you can see Kat's episode of Undercover Boss tonight at 8 o'clock right here on CBS. And Kat has brought a delicious gift for everyone in our studio audience. You're all going home with a Cinnabon Cinnapack and a bottle of their famous Macara Cinnamon. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this may be the biggest story yet. Cinnabon.
All right.
We've learned you've got to let me finish this sentence.
Yeah.
These
You
are
hooked
important.
them, now reel them in.
Oh, yeah. I got him with this one. Cinnabon's at work developing the new Cinnabon Pizza. Isn't that amazing? Cinnabon Pizza, yes. They're also at work developing the new Type 3 diabetes. It's gonna bump it up one. This, USA.
Con los terroristas.
The Harlem Shake.
Ever since European immigrants brought the cinnamon roll to Philadelphia in the 18th century, the sweet, sticky buns have been a breakfast favorite. But it wasn't until 1985 that two American innovators recognized the hypnotic pastry's potential to break out as a standalone breakfast phenomenon. Greg Koman and his father Rich had one goal: create the world's greatest cinnamon roll. And as far as they were concerned, there was only one baker for the job: Geraldine Brousseau.
My dad knew Geraldine Brousseau and said, Geraldine, I got a project for you.
Geraldine Brousseau was the owner of a successful bakery near Seattle at the time, but promptly left her own shop and hit the test kitchen, where she found her destiny. After months of tasting flavors and trying cinnamons and spices, she landed on the recipe for the Cinnabon. And the millions of Cinnabon fans around the world gave her a name: Cinnamon.
After tons of research, you've got your product down, you know you're onto something great. What was your first store like, and then how did you expand so fast?
Well, we opened the first bakery. There was such a strong reception to it. It really took us by surprise.
It sounds like a pretty good problem to have, though.
And it was.
Brousseau's interpretation of the cinnamon roll has earned passionate fans around the world. The gooey, pillowy texture and the sauce she developed, now a Cinnabon trademark, was unlike any other on the market.
Most people expected cinnamon rolls to be cooked throughout and on the dry side, and Cinnabon was nothing like that. The goo took months to develop.
You can't have enough goo.
But the thing that really set the Cinnabon apart from every roll that came before was the cinnamon itself. The Cinnamom spent months in the test kitchen, researching every variety under the sun until she found the perfect solution halfway across the planet.
Indonesian Kerinci cinnamon, which we branded as Macara Cinnabon, only available at Cinnabon, became the secret sauce. And it's a combination of volatile oils to the perfect combination to where we get that flavor that you get with the Cinnabon.
Cinnabon's immense popularity in malls inspired them to explore other opportunities, most ingeniously airports.
Became a really strong breakfast item through the airports because you got so many travelers in the morning.
Yeah, I know if I'm in an airport and I see a Cinnabon, bingo, there's breakfast.
There you go.
Today, there are 930 Cinnabon locations in more than 40 countries around the world, all mixing and rolling out the Cinnamom's original recipe.
Whenever I go to a Cinnabon, the roll is always hot. Now, either I have incredible timing or you're doing something right.
You don't have incredible timing. We serve them within 30 minutes out of the oven. So you're going to get a warm, gooey Cinnabon anytime you come.
That's the way to do it.
That is.
CBS Friday. This former Hooters girl has worked her way to the top of Cinnabon.
Some of my mantras as a leader are make it happen, figure it out.
And she's showing her employees
Being undercover this week, it's hard.
I'm a single mother of 3 girls.
My mom is my hero.
that hard work
I need to make sure that we're making a really positive difference.
pays off.
People with your heart can do anything.
You didn't make my day, you made my life.
A powerful new Undercover Boss, CBS Friday.
Everyone loves them. Now Burger King has them. Cinnabon Mini Bon Rolls. Now at Burger King.